Nike is not a European brand, but it's ubiquitous around the world in terms of sportswear. It is a premium brand overall.
Running toward the Nike brand despite inflationary headwinds and an overall pullback in spending.
Nike topping the tape today, jumping nearly 3%, hitting a new all-time high.
Company Nike has grown $30 billion in sales last year.
Michael Jordan.
From Nike's having a super controversial history to doing damage control by prioritizing its image and profits, let's talk about the dark truth about Nike, your favorite sports brand. Nike's controversial past. Nike, named after the goddess of victory, is more than just a sports gear company. They're making billions and are worth around $176 billion in 2023. You know those cool Air sneakers? Yep, that's Michael Jordan's deal with them. But hold up, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Nike has a wild and not so great past. They've been in hot water for extremely controversial things like violence and human rights. It's a whole messy story, so stay tuned to find out. The coach who started it all. Let's talk about how it all started. Back in the 1950s, a coach named Bill Bowerman wasn't happy with the heavy, metal-filled sports shoes athletes wore. So he set out to make better, lighter ones with lots of materials like kangaroo and fish skin to see what worked best. Later on, while eating waffles, he had an idea. He thought making shoe soles like raised waffles could give good grip without using metal spikes. So he tried it by putting some urethane in a waffle iron, and voila, it worked. Just kidding. It did not work. In fact, it got stuck and he ruined the waffle maker. Yikes. Eventually though, this idea worked and he made shoes perfect for walking, running, and maybe even breakfast. This led him to co-found Nike, where he kept coming up with new ideas for shoes. The shoe that kickstarted a legacy. While Michael Jordan didn't need fancy shoes to win games, his line of Nike sneakers became a big deal for his legacy. The first Air Jordans came out in 1984, his rookie NBA year. They caused a stir. The NBA banned them at first. The Air Jordan 1 had a cool black and red look, but it broke the NBA's rules. See, most shoes back then were white, so these bold colors stood out a lot. The league said no to them, but Nike turned the ban into a way to make them even more popular. But that isn't the only issue that was caused by these sneakers. A 15-year-old was tragically killed over a pair in 1989, and similar violence around these shoes has happened for nearly 30 years. In 2017, 2 teens were shot for their Air Jordans. It's estimated that around 1,200 people are killed over sneakers each year. While not all sneaker violence is because of Air Jordans, some folks criticize Nike and Jordan for promoting their shoes as status symbols. Jordan also faced criticism for not speaking up about issues, like when asked about child labor used by Nike in 1996, he basically said it wasn't his concern. But let's talk about that tagline for a second. The iconic tagline, "Just do it." Iconic, right? Well, you'll be shocked to know where it came from. Back in 1988, Nike needed a catchy phrase for their ads. Ad executive Dan Whedon came up with "Just do it." At first, Nike's co-founder Phil Knight wasn't sold on it, but Whedon saw its potential. And where did he get that idea? He got the idea from a criminal named Gary Gilmore who faced execution and said something bold like, "Let's do it." Whedon thought a similar phrase would make a great slogan for Nike. Turns out, he was onto something big. But just how big? Stick till the end to find out. Nike's move from glory to Goliath. Nike's history might be full of successes and good moves, but it hasn't exactly been clean. Nike has been a big supporter of USA track and field since 1991. They've committed to supplying gear until 2040, and the deal's worth between $400 million to $500 million. Athletes sponsored by Nike won 115 out of 200 medals for the US in track at the Olympics from 1996 to 2016. That's a lot of influence, but sometimes power isn't used well. John Capriotti, Nike's global director of athletics, holds a lot of sway in American track and field. He decides who gets sponsorship money and negotiates with sports agents. Some people, like athlete Will Lear, have spoken about stories of Capriotti being violent. Lear mentioned an incident in 2015 where Capriotti threatened a rival coach. There was a police report about Capriotti allegedly grabbing and threatening the coach, but no charges were pressed. Other people have similar stories but prefer to stay anonymous, fearing it might hurt their careers. So threats and violence aren't exactly the kind of things that are expected from a brand like Nike. But then again, what can you expect from a brand that did the person who designed their logo so dirty? The $35 winged victory. Back in 1971, Nike's famous swoosh logo was born, but at first, its creators weren't too excited about it. To them, it looked like a bent letter J or maybe a sign of a few dollars. Nike wasn't even called Nike back then. It was known as Blue Ribbon Sports, founded by Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight in 1964. When the company saw the swoosh design, they weren't wowed. Phil Knight even said, "I don't love it, but maybe it will grow on me." The swoosh was made by a designer named Carolyn Davidson, who was paid $2 an hour for her work with Blue Ribbon Sports. When she presented the swoosh, it didn't get much of a reaction at first, but compared to her other ideas, the curvy checkmark seemed to stand out, so the company bought it for $35. Later on, as a thank you, Nike gave Davidson some stock shares and a diamond ring to show their appreciation. But that was it. Speaking of working for Nike, the working conditions at the company are pretty bleak. Nike's frat boy culture. In March 2018, reports emerged about the troubling culture at Nike's headquarters in Oregon. Women employees described an environment similar to a frat boy culture where bullying was common and with pay disparities between men and women. They reported being silenced in meetings and facing mistreatment. A New York Times report mentioned a significant departure of male executives following an internal survey revealing extremely concerning feedback. Women employees had spoken up about verbal abuse, sexual harassment, and disrespectful behavior from male staff. Complaints about instances like a supervisor calling a woman a derogatory name and throwing objects at her went unresolved by Nike. The situation escalated when two former employees sued Nike for sexual harassment. They accused a male executive of sending inappropriate photos, making unwanted advances. They even accused him of engaging in inappropriate behavior at work, sometimes in front of other senior staff who took no action. But Nike's corporate offices aren't even half the story. Because you know what? The working conditions at their factories are even worse. Nike's horrendous labor practices. In the 1970s, the company began utilizing sweatshops abroad despite complaints, as it was cost-effective. However, the tide turned when a shocking photo emerged of a Pakistani child laborer making a Nike football. The following year, revelations surfaced about workers in a Nike-contracted sweatshop in Vietnam facing dangerous working conditions. This included exposure to toxic fumes and excessive hours of work, leading to employee collapses. By 1998, Nike faced a severe public relations crisis amid declining sales and negative press. They pledged to enhance workplace conditions and began annual audits of their overseas facilities in 2005. In 2013, some reports suggested that Nike had resolved its sweatshop issues, but in 2017, the Worker Rights Consortium highlighted ongoing problems, including wage theft, verbal abuse, and harsh working conditions in Vietnam. Saving face with lucky PR. In 2016, NFL player Colin Kaepernick began kneeling during the national anthem to protest police violence against unarmed black individuals. The next season, he wasn't signed by any team. Some see him as a hero for speaking out, while others view him as disrespectful to the country. In 2018, Nike featured Kaepernick in an ad with the message, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." This sparked reactions. Some people who disagreed with Kaepernick's actions destroyed their Nike gear, while others, like Jim Carrey, supported the move. Nike, like many corporations, prioritizes its image and profits, including social issues in their ads, from gender equality to ageism. The Kaepernick ad was a strategic move to connect with their main consumers, the young people. This increased brand loyalty, higher sales, and Nike's stock prices soared. So, what do you think? Will Nike stay on top of its game forever, or can we expect it to tank soon? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.